Hey guys, it's Chris, and this week for Movie Club Strikes Back, we're reviewing a really recent movie that just came out that was directed by and starred Ben Stiller called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Now, this movie was chosen by my good friend Liam, aka Servatorix, and you can go to his channel here, and check out all of his stuff. It's really cool. But this movie was a really interesting one because it felt very multi-dimensional in it. So what I mean by that is, on the surface, basically the plot of it is that Walter Mitty, which is Ben Stiller's character, works as the photo negatives developer in charge of type dude at Life magazine, and they're about to print their last copy ever, and it's his responsibility to ensure that they've got the negative for the photo for the cover, which is missing, or it didn't arrive with the last roll of negatives from Sean Penn's character, who takes these just amazing, beautiful, old-fashioned photos. And when I say old-fashioned, I mean he still does it on film. And the negative's not there. It's kind of Walter Mitty's responsibility to ensure the photo's there, so he travels off to find Sean and get the negative. And before he sort of heads off on this, you sort of see he's a very quiet, unassuming man who daydreams a lot because his life is very self-contained in this tiny little unit, and we sort of see him come outside of his shell and really sort of experience what there is in life in the quest for this photo. So on the one hand, you could look at it and just go, it's a very basic, simple plot, not a lot happens. For me personally, this movie feels like it's the type of movie you can watch and experience it on totally different levels depending on where you are in your life, what's actually happening, what your philosophy is, how you feel about life. It hits on so many different levels. On the one hand, this movie, you can look at it and it's very straightforward. It's a plot about a man who is living a quiet, unassuming life. He has to find a photo. He travels off to various parts of the world, finds the photo, and in turn finds himself and continues, forward on the quest of his life. On the other hand, though, this movie can take a lot more of a philosophical sort of approach to life. The fact that, so many of us had these defining moments in our lives where something happened, and for Walter Mitty, it was his father dying when he was 17, and he went from being a young boy with amazing dreams for his future that he was ready to jet off and experience and really see what was out there in life, to a man who was suddenly thrust into this responsibility, a position of responsibility, and put aside his own dreams to focus on sort of the responsibility that was set down upon him. And in doing so, all of those dreams that he wanted to go off and experience started to become more of an internal dream. And you see that his life was very quiet and bland, and it was reflected amazingly in the musical score for this movie. That sort of the beginning part of the movie, when we're just focusing on Walter's life, it's very quiet and we're just focusing on sort of the actual sounds of life around him, the little mundane details. But when he has these amazing daydreams about what he would want his life to be, or things that he really wished he could do, it's suddenly bursting with sound and bright color and just all the wonderment that there is actually in life. And it's so amazingly done, because as the movie progresses and his daydreams start to lessen as he is experiencing more of life, and a lot of these daydreams of his are becoming reality, you sort of feel the richness of life through the color tones and the palettes of the movie, and the sound, and just the general cinematography itself just becomes amazing. Now, the movie wasn't perfect. There were a couple of points that I was pulled out of the movie because of some real oddities in the plot. Like, for me, I don't know any young sort of teenage kid who would trade his skateboard for a freaky weird Stretch Armstrong doll. And that just sort of made me go, what the hell? And then it pulled my brain out of the movie. The same with him having cell phone reception up in the Himalayas. I mean, really? I'm pretty sure they don't have proper cell phone reception. That would be impressive. And I would want to know who his plan was through, because sometimes I can't even get cell phone coverage next to the offices of my cell phone provider. So that sucks. I think for me, I liken this movie very much to the George Clooney movie Up in the Air. It had the sort of same profound effect on me because of the point of my life where I was. When Up in the Air came out, I had just been made redundant and I wasn't quite sure what path I wanted to, head off down on, and it was a bit unsettling, and that movie sort of touched something in me and made me want to take that risk. And again, now with this movie, I'm literally am just about to transition from my old job into a new job that for me is a big new experience. There's going to be a new amount of responsibility. It's an exciting time, and it's nowhere near where my end goal in life is, but it's all about that journey and that path towards getting there. And I think a lot of what I took away from this movie was very philosophical. I mean, the whole time I was watching the movie, these like inspirational quotes were like popping through my head, like from John Lennon when he was saying that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And it's really about appreciating the beauty of the small things around you, which was seen so beautifully in this movie with the cinematography. And you see the scene after he's just arrived in Greenland and he's rented the car, and the car is just this little tiny speck traveling along the bottom of the screen with this amazing sort of beautiful scenery around him. And it does make you think about how small you are and compared to the rest of the world, and how there is so much more out there that you can go and experience. And I think my favorite quote in the movie comes from Sean Penn's character when they're sitting there and he'd been clearly waiting for a very long time to take a photo of the snow leopard. He's sitting there and the snow leopard finally appears, and instead of taking the photo, he doesn't. He just enjoys the moment. And his quote is amazing. The fact that sometimes when he really, really likes a moment, he doesn't want the distraction of a camera in that moment. He just wants to live and experience that moment, which I think so many of us have forgotten, especially if you look at the insanely narcissistic, crazy amounts of selfies that everyone in the world is taking. Like, I know that when I travel, and I travel a lot and I love it, I love to immerse myself in cultures and just live in that moment. And I come back home from my holidays with hardly any photos a lot of the time because I'm just too busy living it and experiencing it. And I'll do crazy things like put together these like little travel notebooks that are just filled with like mementos that I've picked up along the way. And that to me is how I will, remember these amazing trips that I've been on, as opposed to having to look at a photo that I either wasn't in because I was too busy taking it, or, I spent more time rushing around trying to find someone else to take a photo of me, as opposed to just experiencing that moment. And I think that this movie captures that so well. So this movie is definitely going to be one that I'm going to go buy. I think I want a copy of it on DVD, and it can sit right there next to Up in the Air, and they're kind of my inspirational movies. Like when I'm having those days where I'm like, I need something to give me that kickstart, to remind me to, stop and look at the pretty scenery along the way, or focus on, the thing is, you don't need to travel the world to have that type of epiphany or feel that moment or, understand who you are. It can be right there in your backyard, and you just need to go and experience it, enjoy it. And I liked that about this movie. So I'm definitely, this movie is definitely a keeper. I think it was a great pick. So the next movie pick for Movie Club Strikes Back was my pick, and I chose Ong Bak. You can go up here if you want to view the announcement video on our group channel. Otherwise, stay tuned on this channel because I'll be putting up a review very, very soon of it. Yay! Okay guys, I'm Chris, and I'll see you later.